Hey guys, welcome to tomorrow. It's Wednesday! So we have 2 more chapters to read, 4 and 5, and Jack and Annie are starting off on their journey to go help the Wizard of Winter. He's lost his eye, and he wants them to make a trade to try and get his eye back, and he says that the only people who can do it are Jack and Annie because only mortals can make a trade. So, very quickly, we're going to go over our vocab, and then we're going to get started. Okay, first word is knelt. Knelt means to kneel in the past, like I knelt yesterday. Rudder is what you use to steer a boat, a ship. Number 3 is staff. A staff is that tall wooden rod that you can use. It can be useful for you to walk with, but it can also be a magical instrument. A tapestry is basically something that's made of woven threads that makes a picture that can be hung on a wall. Trudged means to walk very slowly. A column is something that's used to support a roof, so the roof has support. And the Norns are people who create fate and who rule the fate of lives in a lot of old legends and myths. So Jack and Annie are with Teddy and Kathleen on their journey, but Teddy and Kathleen can be with them. Jack and Annie actually have to complete the mission kind of by themselves because only mortals, meaning people who are able to die and who are not magical, can do this quest. Chapter 4. Take my sleigh. Jack sat on the frozen ground. Annie, Teddy, and Kathleen stood nearby. They were too shocked to speak. The night was quiet, and overhead the full moon shined brightly, with a few cold stars twinkling in the clear sky. Finally, Annie broke the silence. "I wonder what he did to Morgan and Merlin," she said. "I wonder where you'll find his eye," said Teddy. "I wonder how we're going to carry it around," said Jack. "And I wonder where the wolves are," said Kathleen. She stood up and looked around, pulling her cloak tight about her. "Does anyone remember the Ice Wizard's rhyme?" said Teddy. "Yes," said Kathleen, and she repeated the rhyme perfectly. "Take my sleigh and find your way to the house of the Norns in the curve of the bay. Pay them whatever they tell you to pay, and bring back my eye by the break of day." "Okay, what are Norns?" said Jack. "I've read about them in Morgan's book," said Teddy. "They're known as the Sisters of Fate. They spend their days weaving great tapestries. Their weaving determines the fate of all who live in the land behind the cloud." "So the Norns have his eye," said Jack. "That's what he meant when he said traded with the fates." "I guess so," said Teddy. "He said we should take a sleigh and find them," said Annie. "Where's the sleigh?" "Look," said Kathleen. "There it is." "Wow," said Annie. Not far away, a strange-looking silver sleigh glided silently from behind a snowbank. The sleigh looked like a small sailing ship with shiny runners. A sleigh, by the way, is think about Santa's sleigh. That's what a sleigh is. No one was steering it, and no horses or reindeer were pulling it, but from its mast a white sail drooped in the still air. As the sleigh slid to a stop, an eerie howl shattered the night. "Wolves!" cried Teddy. "Let's make haste." Kathleen grabbed his arm. "Do not run," she said. "If we run, they will chase us." "Yeah, right," said Teddy. "They must not see we're afraid." Another howl shattered the air. "Okay, run," said Teddy. They charged across the snow to the sleigh and scrambled up into it. Jack and Kathleen stood at the front, and Annie and Teddy stood at the back. "There they are!" cried Teddy, pointing. "The white wolves of night!" Jack turned and saw 2 large white wolves dashing across the plain. As the wolves ran towards the sleigh, their big paws scattered snow around them. "Go, go, 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 go!" Jack clutched the front of the sleigh. But the sleigh didn't move, and the wolves kept coming. "How do we make it go?" said Jack. "Use the wind string," said Teddy. Jack pulled the knotted old string from his pocket. "Use it how?" he shouted. "Untie one of the knots," said Teddy. Jack pulled off his gloves. His fingers were trembling as he tried to untie a knot. "This is crazy," he thought. "How can untying a knot in a string help us?" But soon he managed to loosen one of the knots. A cool breeze began blowing from behind the sleigh. It ruffled the sail overhead. "Untie another," shouted Teddy. "Hurry!" Jack untied a second. The breeze grew stronger, and the sail filled out a bit more. The sleigh's shiny runners began sliding across the snow. "Yay!" called Annie. "It works!" "Yes, but not nearly swiftly enough," said Teddy. Jack looked back. 2 white wolves had almost caught up with them. They were yelping and running behind the sleigh, and their mouths were open, showing off sharp teeth. Jack quickly untied a 3rd knot. A cold wind blasted the sail. It opened with a snap, and the sleigh shot forward. "Stand fast!" cried Teddy. Jack, Annie, and Kathleen held Teddy tightly to the sides of the sleigh to keep from falling out. Teddy grabbed the rudder and steered them over the snow, away from the ice palace. The wizard's sleigh zoomed across the frozen ground, leaving the white wolves in its wake. Their yelping noise grew fainter and fainter until they could be heard no more. Back-to-back pictures. That's kind of cool. We never get back-to-back pictures. The wind kept pushing the silver sleigh over the ice and snow. The runners made sounds as they slid over the moonlit plain. The square sail billowed in the wind like the sail of a Viking ship. With the wolves behind, the ride was fun, but cold. "How do you know untying knots would make the wind blow?" Jack asked Teddy. "'Tis ancient magic," said Teddy. I've read of wind strings, but never seen one." "It's a good thing you read so much," said Annie. "Look," said Kathleen, "hares and foxes." "Where?" said Annie. "There," said Kathleen, "playing in the snow. And listen, whistling swans overhead behind a cloud." "Wow," said Annie. Jack was amazed at Kathleen's power to see and hear so many things. As before, the moonlit landscape had seemed completely empty to him. "Where are you steering us?" Annie asked Teddy. "No idea," said Teddy, laughing. "Well, we're supposed to go to a curve of a bay to find the Norns," said Annie. "Then turn left, follow the swans," said Kathleen, pointing across the plain. "They're flying towards the sea." Teddy swerved the sleigh to the left. For a while they just bounced up and down over the snow. Then the ride grew smooth. "We're on sea ice," said Kathleen. "Seals are beneath. I see their breathing holes. Perhaps we should stop." "Indeed," said Teddy as they whizzed along. "But how?" "By tying a knot," said Annie. "Excellent idea," said Teddy. "Jack?" Jack yanked off his gloves. With cold, shaking fingers he tied a knot in the string. The wind lessened a bit and the sleigh slowed down. He tied another and the sail started to droop. "Hooray!" said Annie. Jack tied a third knot and the wind stopped completely. The sleigh glided to a stop. "Well done," said Teddy. "Thanks," said Jack. He tucked the string back into his pocket and looked around. "I wonder if this is where the Norns live," he said. "I'll ask," said Kathleen. Ask who? Jack thought. Kathleen climbed out of the sleigh and walked over to the sea ice, studying it. Then she stopped above a small hole. Kathleen knelt down and spoke softly in the Selkie language. Then she put her ear close to the hole and listened. A moment later she stood up. "The seal told me that the curve of the bay lies just beyond those rocks," she said, pointing. "That's where we'll find the Norns." "Great," said Annie. Jack, Annie, Teddy, and Kathleen crunched over the frozen sea under the bright moon. They walked through a narrow passage between the sea rocks. When they stepped out of the passage, they stopped. "There it is," said Teddy. About 50 yards away was a large, snowy white mound. Smoke was coming from a chimney at the top. Lantern light flickered from a small, round window. "I know you must bargain for the ice wizard's eye alone," said Teddy, "but I'd like to get a peek at the Norns." He moved quickly to the window and peered into the house. The others joined him. They saw a large fire burning on the hearth. In its rosy glow, 3 strange creatures were weaving at the big loom. Jack caught his breath. Their appearance was shocking. The 3 sisters of fate were as skinny as skeletons. They had straggly hair, long noses, and big, bulgy eyes. Their crooked, bony fingers fluttered over a tapestry. So this obviously isn't the sisters. This is just their home where they live. Am I getting it on screen there? Okay. Around the room, other tapestries were stacked up all the way to the ceiling. "They look like witches in a fairy tale," said Annie. "Aye, but they're not witches," said Teddy. "Every cloth they weave is the history of someone's life." "Wow," said Annie. "Well, good luck," said Teddy. "Kathleen and I'll wait out here while you go inside and get the wizard's eye." Suddenly, a terrible howl pierced the silence. "Yikes," said Annie. "Wolves," said Kathleen. Teddy hurried to the door and threw it open. "Okay, everybody inside," he said. And all 4 of them scrambled into the house of the Norns. Chapter 5. The Norns. Teddy slammed the door against the wolves and Jack caught his breath. "Welcome," the 3 Norns said in unison. They all looked exactly alike, except they each wore a gown of a different color. Brown, blue, gray. "How are you, Jack, Teddy, Annie, Kathleen?" said the blue Norn. "We're good now," said Annie. Jack was amazed that the Norns knew them. Despite their strange appearance, their friendly smile and twinkling eyes put him at ease. In the cozy house, he began to feel warm for the first time since they'd left. "Was your journey pleasant?" said the Norn. "Yeah, we came in the ice wizard's sleigh," said Annie. "With the help of a wind string," said Teddy. Jack held up the string to show him. The gray Norn cackled. "Yes, we know. I like a string with knots," she said. "A string without knots would be a boring string indeed," said the blue Norn. "A life without knots would be a boring life indeed," chimed the brown Norn. As they spoke, the Norns kept weaving. Their bulging eyes never blinked. Jack sensed that they never closed them, or stopped working. "Hey, we're sorry to bother you," said Annie, "but Jack and I need the Ice Wizard of Winter so we can save our friends Merlin and Morgan." "We know," said the Blue Norn. "We're weaving the story of the Ice Wizard now. Come look." Jack moved with the others to the loom. A loom, by the way, is where people weave. Dozens of tiny pictures were woven into the tapestry. The threads were all wintry colors of blue, gray, and brown. "The pictures tell the story of the wizard's life," said the Norn. One showed two children playing together. Another showed a boy running after a swan, and another showed two white wolves, and another showed an eye in a circle. "What's the story about the eye?" said Jack. "Well, long ago the Ice Wizard came to us seeking all the wisdom in the world," said the Grey Norn. "We said we would give him all the wisdom if he gave us one of his eyes. He agreed to the bargain." "The wizard doesn't seem wise," said Annie. "He is not," said the Brown Norn. "We planted the seeds of wisdom in his heart, but they never grew." "Why do you want his eye?" asked Jack. "We wanted to give it to the Frost Giant," said the Blue Norn. "The Frost Giant?" said Teddy. "Who's the Frost Giant?" So those are the Norns. They're a little creepy looking, huh? I can't turn the page, it's stuck. "He is neither magician nor mortal," said the Blue Norn. "He is a blind force of nature that spares nothing in his path. We hoped the Frost Giant would use the wizard's eye to see the beauty of the world so he might choose to care for it rather than destroy it," said the Brown Norn. "But alas, the Frost Giant does not use our gift at all. Instead, he keeps it hidden away, right where we left it." "Where's that?" said Annie. "The Frost Giant sleeps inside the hollow hill," said the Grey Norn. "In the hollow hill is a hole," said the Blue Norn. "And in the hole is a hailstone," said the Brown Norn. "And in the heart of the hailstone hides the wizard's eye," said the Grey Norn. Jack closed his eyes and repeated, "In the hollow hill is a hole, in the hole is a hailstone, and the heart of the hailstone hides the wizard's eye." "Yes," said the Grey Norn, "that's where you must go. But beware, you must never look directly at the Frost Giant. Anyone who looks directly at the Frost Giant will freeze to death." Jack shivered and nodded. "Well, we better get going," said Annie. "Thank you for your help. The Ice Wizard's rhyme tells us to pay you whatever you ask." The Norns looked at each other. "I like the weaving round her neck," said the Grey Norn to her sisters. "'Tis red like the fiery dawn." The other two Norns nodded. "My scarf?" said Annie. "Sure, here you go." She took off her red woolen scarf and placed it on the floor near the Norn's loom. "Lovely," said the Blue Norn. "Perhaps we will stop weaving fates and start weaving scarves." The other Norns cackled. "Well, go now," said the Grey Norn. "Travel toward the North Star. When you reach the snowy hills, look for the one whose peak is missing." Jack, Annie, and Teddy started towards the door, but Kathleen stayed behind. "Forgive me, but I have one more question," she said. She pointed to the picture of the swan and the boy in the tapestry. "What is this story?" "It's a sad tale," said the Norn. "The Ice Wizard had a younger sister who loved him more than anything in the world. One day they fought over something foolish. He lost his temper and told her to leave him alone forever. She ran to the sea in tears. There she found a flock of swan maidens. They gave her a white feathered dress. She put on the dress and became a swan maiden herself. She flew away with the others and has never returned." "After that, the Ice Wizard was never the same," said the Blue Norn. "When his sister left, he grew cold and mean-spirited. 'Twas as if his sister took his heart with her when she flew away." "That is sad," said Annie. "How will the Ice Wizard's story end?" "You, not we, will determine the threads we weave next," said the Norn. "We will?" said Annie. "Yes," said the Grey Norn. "Our powers are fading. Our plans no longer work the way we expect them to. The Ice Wizard has no wisdom. The Frost Giant has no sight. You must go and finish the story." The three sisters smiled at their visitors. Their skinny fingers fluttered over their weaving like little butterflies on flowers. Jack couldn't help smiling at them. But then he thought about Merlin and Morgan. He thought about all the dangers waiting outside. "One final question," he said. "What's the story of the two white wolves?" "Oh, the wolves," said the Blue Norn. "Do not fear the wolves. A life without wolves is boring indeed." Her two sisters smiled in agreement. For the moment, their smiles made Jack feel unafraid of the white wolves, and the wizard, and the Frost Giant. "Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye," said the three sisters. Jack and the others waved goodbye as well. Then they slipped out of the house of the Norns and into the icy night. And that's where we're going to stop for today. So, we met the Norns now, so you kind of know what they are. Basically, like I said, they weave fate or lives. So the Norns in ancient myths and legends, whatever they made into their tapestry was what your life would do. So if they, wove you going on an adventure, then you'd go on an adventure. If they wove, something bad happening to you, something bad happened to you. So they weave kind of the strands of fate. All right, we will continue tomorrow with chapters 6 and 7, and then we'll do 8, 9 Friday and be done. Toodaloo, guys.